All right, Simply Bitcoin. We break down the news from Twitter, the daily fail, the meme review, software releases, the websites by plebes. Drop us a like and subscribe. All right, we're going to the numbers. Let's do it. All right, we are currently at a block height of 670,900. Bitcoin price 48,785. Chain rewrite days 580. Total lightning capacity 1,084.17 BTC. Bitcoin versus gold market cap 7.77%. Sats per dollar 2,050.
Man, we hit an all-time high. Is it time for Satoshi?
It is.
Broke.
What happened?
I think
did he just die?
Oh, there we go.
There we go. All right. So yeah, earlier this morning we hit what was it, 50,300 and change or something. So yeah, we did break it to a new all-time high.
Awesome. I think Satoshi, the Bitcoin chicken, I think he's dying because it's
because you took him on the slopes, man.
It's because I took him on the slopes.
Took him on the slopes. He's all freaked out. Now you're putting him on the spot,
right? He's collect all he's wanted to collect. Now he's embarrassed.
He's all clucked out.
I'm sorry, Satoshi.
What the fuck is wrong with him?
I know.
All
right. Anyways, we got Satoshi. We got the shitcoin version of Satoshi. We got the shit forks. I guess he'll take his place. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Don't worry. Phil, it's time for
the daily fail. Today's daily fail. I know it's gonna seem like you've seen this before, especially if you're a Bitcoiner from the last cycle and the cycle before, and pretty much anybody from Bitcoin, that has been in Bitcoin from the beginning. So this is from Bloomberg Crypto, and this is ECB's Gabriel Makhlouf, and he says Bitcoin's rise is comparable to the 17th century Dutch tulip craze, which ended in collapse. Okay. So let's talk about the tulip craze a little bit, right? The tulip craze actually had nothing to do with the tulips themselves. It had to do with tulip bulbs, okay? And the collecting of tulip bulbs was a status symbol. And that's why people actually collected them. It's because if, people came to your home and you had these fancy tulip bulbs, it meant that you had, all of this expendable money. Okay, so we got to take a look at the symbolism here, how it was very, very strong. And of course, you couldn't really use them as any kind of medium of exchange. It didn't have the tulip bulbs didn't have any of the special properties that, Bitcoin has, of course. Anyways, the fact that they compare this to Bitcoin, we've seen this time and time again. Okay, so first of all, holding Bitcoin is not a status symbol. You can tell that anytime you go. Tell most people that you own Bitcoin and they laugh, or they think you're weird, or they think you're an idiot. So at this point right now, I definitely wouldn't say it's a status symbol regardless of its price. And the truth is that when it comes to Bitcoiners and people that accumulate Bitcoin, at least for the most part, the people that I've run into, it's because they believe in the Bitcoin's promise, and they believe in the revolution of money and having a better money for their future generations. Nobody fucking believed that with the tulip craze. Okay, they weren't making better money for future generations at all. Okay, so it's just ridiculous that they always come up with this comparison, and it's so sad that these are people that have a huge you know what I mean. They've got lots of attention, and they make these repeatedly stupid comments. It's terrible.
Absolutely. I think that that awesome. You summarized it perfectly. The only thing that I could add to that is have you noticed that the biggest detractors of Bitcoin are people over the age of 40? Every single young person, and I've read statistics, about 80% of millennials and the younger generation have a good outlook on Bitcoin. So That's where the future is going. What does it matter to see to like what are these old like have you seen the Homer Simpson meme where it's like old man yells at sky? Like,
Yes.
what does it matter? It's not their they had their time. They had their time with their system. Now it's our time. It's becoming our time with this new system that treats everybody equally. It doesn't ostracize or literally not allow people to participate in the financial system because of the country you were born in. You know, it's absolutely crazy. So when I hear, you know, these guys, and I was just on Clubhouse hearing Peter Schiff discuss Corey Clipston and John Vallis, when it's like, man, like the disconnect there. It's like, why are we giving these people the platform? What they were good in their day. I'm sure they're good bankers. I'm sure Peter Schiff has a lot of good things a lot of good knowledge about gold. But that doesn't equate to having knowledge about this completely revolutionary technology that has never existed, that is going to fundamentally change how humans interact with each other. What the hell did they do? They haven't put it as much time into researching Bitcoin and going into the rabbit hole that me and you have, Phil. So why, like, just because they're good at their financial system doesn't equate to knowledge in Bitcoin, you know? So it's extremely frustrating, and that makes it an amazing fail. Anyways, Phil, it's time for
the daily meme review.
All right, everybody. So the meme for today, it requires a little bit of a story, but that's how memes are, right? So if you ain't doing this right, of course, Nick is talking about, you know, be fiat poor to stay Bitcoin rich, have the minimum balance in your bank account, right? And it's just a thing that, you know, some Bitcoiners have been going back and forth. It's kind of like a joke. But the meme that I wanted to review, this is, you know, the original meme of, you know, here comes Corey, but they changed it to here comes plebs. And the meme that I wanted to review is a meme by Stony Bison. And, you know, he's just posing, here comes the plebs. It's Nick can't mine his negative bank account, someone else negative bank account. I think this is my bank account here. And then the negative 6.15 over the crotch. Epic. I know it's a little different, Phil. I know it's not the standard meme, but it is part of the meme culture, of Bitcoin meme culture. So I thought it would be worthy of a review. That being said, man, it's a great meme. I'm going to give that an 8.5. What about you, Phil?
Yeah, man. So shout out to Stony, right? Awesome Bitcoiner, right? And always talks about, you know, breaking rocks, getting paid and converting it into sats. He's a hardcore sat stacker, and shout out to him. I totally love a lot of his Bitcoin material. He always puts out some really interesting tweets. And yeah, I mean, look, I thought that meme was hilarious, but that's just, I mean, like, I've got a soft spot for Kid Rock. I just love his brand of white trash. It's just the best. So like anytime I see that meme with anything, it just puts a smile on my face. Anyways, I'm going with a solid 8.
Solid 8. Good score.
Yep.
Good score for a special type of meme. It wasn't like a standout meme.
No.
It needed a little story, but we wanted to change it up a little bit. Let us know if you guys like that. And of course, if you guys want us to review your memes, you know, there's a Telegram group down below, and you could post it there, and we will get to them. Anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily News, sponsored by Crypto Cloaks.
All right, everybody. So the news for today, there's a lot of news. You know, yesterday it was kind of slow, but today there's more. So check this out. This is the headline. It's an article by The Block. A 150 billion investment unit of Morgan Stanley is exploring Bitcoin. Phil, this is absolutely huge. This is one of the biggest banks in the United States. And the fact that they're looking to invest into Bitcoin is just kind of, you know, confirming everything that we have reporting, all the observations that we have been showing to you guys. It's just, look, you have MassMutual, you have Harvard, you have Yale, you have, you know, MicroStrategy. Now you have Tesla, you know, so does it surprise us that one of the biggest banks in the United States is looking into investing in Bitcoin? In their situation, they don't have a choice. If you don't have Bitcoin now, if you don't have exposure to Bitcoin now, you are at risk of being left behind, right? So this is the game theory of Bitcoin. I'm sure they hated it. You know, it kind of disintermediates their job, you know, so, but it's glorious to see as Bitcoiners, you know, in the trenches, right? As plebs. What are your thoughts, Phil?
So I was actually I watched a piece of the interview with between Matt Odell, well, the discussion between Matt Odell and Scaramucci, and I think his name is Anthony, right? I'm not sure.
Yes.
Anyways,
Yes. It's Anthony.
yeah, I think it is. Yeah. So it was really interesting, right? Because he made a good point, which is something that we often, maybe it's something that we don't think about, but look, okay, every single one of these businesses, right? If you have one of these businesses that buys Bitcoin and they so happen to make an outsized return, every single one of their competitors now really has no choice but to figure out a way to match, if not beat, that return. And especially when it comes to different investment houses. Okay. And this is why they all end up holding the same stuff. Like, when you go take a look at a lot of the, the big companies on the, the Standard and Poor's, or even the Dow Jones, like it's a lot of the same companies that just hold massive amounts of the same companies. Because at the end of the day, you need exposure to that asset. So, look, I mean, these players, they desperately need exposure to that asset because their only tool, again, is debt out of nothing. So, you know what? They need it almost as much as we do, if not even more.
You're exactly right, Phil. And it and it's very well said. And it's just, it's crazy, how much the ideologies, like you hate Orange Coin, whatever feeling you feel about Bitcoin. There's a point where if you don't buy Bitcoin, it's exactly what you said. You're not going to be able to match the performance, the portfolio performances of the other big players. It's just a matter of fact, right? So the game theory is, man, the incentives of Bitcoin are so strong. And
yep.
Let's move on to the next piece of news. This was absolutely awesome. Bitcoin miners posted $354 million in revenue last week, breaking record from 2017 at its heyday. I have always said on this channel, the price doesn't follow the hash rate. The price always follows the hash rate. The hash rate doesn't necessarily follow the price, right? So this just goes to show, first, it shows a couple things, right? The higher the revenue, that these miners make, the higher the security of Bitcoin is, right? Because that incentivizes other miners, right, to go into the Bitcoin mining game and get that piece of the pie. The piece of the pie is always the same, right? So it supports the Bitcoin network, right? It's a good thing that miners are making record-breaking revenue. And that in turn, of course, Phil, raises the hash rate. And if we look at the hash rate right here from 2017, right, when they made that record profit, look at where the hash rate is today, right? And as we've explained to you guys many times, that the higher the hash rate, the harder Bitcoin theoretically becomes to attack, right? So it's a good thing that the hash rate keeps going higher, and the hash rate will continue going higher if miners are posting record profits, right? So it's like kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And it's absolutely awesome to see, being a miner myself, just seeing the hash rate go up and the revenue go up as it has been as the price of Bitcoin increases. And yeah, man, this is incredible news. And guys, you heard it here first. When you see mining revenue of that proportion, expect the price to follow very, very quickly after. Okay. And that's not speculation. That's literally fact. That has happened every single time. Right. So I know this is kind of infrastructure Bitcoin news. You don't see it so much as the user, but let me tell you, it's very important, and it's a very good thing that these numbers are what they are. Phil, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, look, you did a great job summarizing it. I just want to add that, when we first met and you really explained the intricacies of hash rate and how the miners, you know what I mean, like how important they are, and obviously the relation of the hash rate to the network security, that's pretty much the only metric I look at anymore. I don't really care about any of the other metrics. So for me, like it's just like it's just a no-brainer, like, yep, they have, they have record revenue. The other thing is that when you look at that hash rate chart and you look at 2017 and you think of the run up and you think of the price and you look at the hash rate now, I mean, look, I hate being the, like the parabolic bull, but like, that's pretty crazy. I think that I think that our models are fucked. And I think that we're going to be surprised to the upside. I really think that we don't actually understand what this is.
Absolutely. And that's a very good point, Phil, that you're pointing out, the importance of the hash rate. And just for anyone who's new and doesn't quite understand the intricacies, that's okay. The hash rate going up represents the amount of computational power that you will need to overcome to attack the Bitcoin network. Why does that matter? Okay, let me give you a very good example. Look at the hash rate of Bitcoin Cash. It's this little red tiny line that it's probably hard to see. And you see how the hash rate has remained the same or dipped? That means that the security of the shitcoin of Bcash or Btrash it doesn't even come close to Bitcoin. Look at the hash rate of Bitcoin. And if this blue line represents the amount of hardware all around the world, because Bitcoin is decentralized, protecting the network, and for their protection, the miners get paid. So it's this beautiful art. This Bitcoin is so well architected. It blows everyone's minds out of the water. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little carried away. Let's move on to the next piece of news, Phil. Speaking of bullish news, this is just more bullish. I don't know what's going on. This is crazy. MicroStrategy plans to raise an additional $690 million to buy Bitcoin. Man, when you could literally say they're going all in. Okay, so this is insane. I know they already own like $500 million worth of Bitcoin, or they bought, that was the price that they paid for at the time of purchase. Here's the official announcement on the MicroStrategy website, just to read a little bit. Today announced that it intends to offer, subject to market conditions and other factors, 600 million aggregate principal amount of convertible senior notes due in 2027. So essentially what they're doing is, here's a note, you let me borrow the money. MicroStrategy gets the money to buy Bitcoin, and the person that bought the note, hopefully that note increases in time. So what MicroStrategy is doing is trying to raise capital to buy more Bitcoin. What else is there to say? And I think this is the second time they've done this, Phil. So this is it. These guys are going all in, and that's awesome. It's super cool. I'm gonna shut up now, Phil. What are your thoughts?
So it's kind of interesting, right? That you've got, and again, not everybody wants direct exposure to Bitcoin, but it's funny that people are essentially taking, notes instead of taking physical possession of Bitcoin. And instead, Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy gets to hold all the physical Bitcoin. So I don't know. Good for him. Okay. He is an excellent marketer, and he's fantastic at conveying messages and the messaging to that type of crowd, evidently. But I think I think it's funny.
Yeah,
these people could just be buying Bitcoin, but instead they're like, don't get me wrong, at the end of the day, like with how much he's owning in Bitcoin, you may as well just buy Bitcoin.
Dude, it's hilarious.
Anyways.
I don't mean to laugh at, like this. It's just, you have to understand that, Bitcoiners have been through the trenches. Okay. We have survived, and we've believed when everyone else was like, this is going to zero, you know, and we've stayed. And those are some hard times, you know. The example that I always bring up, the one that really scared me, because I like I've told you guys I mine, is when the Bitcoin Cash hash rate momentarily flipped the Bitcoin hash rate, and that scared the living crap out of me. And we've survived that, right? So when we see stuff like this, it blows our minds. We're just like, what? we knew this was coming, but it actually coming in reality is just absolutely unbelievable, you know. So it's awesome to see. Again, I just keep talking today. I've had a good day. Phil, there was a pretty big software release today. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Software releases. All right, looks like we've got Wasabi Wallet version 1.1.12.4 that was released, and that is down below in the show notes.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. All right, guys, that was our show. I just want to make a small correction. One of our fans in the comments, I'm going to pop it up right here, said that they released a quick fix of the Umbrella software release, which we said yesterday. Apparently, they released a new one to kind of fix some glitches that people were having. So I'm going to pop up the comment so you guys could read it for yourself. Anyways, guys, if you like the show, don't forget to smash that like button. And if you love the show, subscribe. And of course, we will see you tomorrow for another episode of Simply Bitcoin.